Hi there. I chose to do diabetes for my final project, and I am going to explain two different movement activities that I would use while teaching this lesson to all of you, my peers, as well as to my students who would be elementary age. So the idea would be, after doing some lecture and giving some important information, I would then have a movement activity to get the kids moving around and to help reinforce what I had just talked about. So the first activity is called Energy Tag. And in this game, the idea is to make matches of insulin and glucose, because the students learned that in order for glucose to be made into energy, it needs insulin to unlock the cells for the glucose to enter. So on this side of the paper, you can see there are some hula hoops. So students would be paired off with another classmate, and each pair has a hula hoop with 5 yellow bean bags, each one representing glucose. On the other side, you see a bunch of green bean bags, and those bean bags represent insulin, and there are 2 taggers in this game. So the object of the game is for one player at a time, one partner, to run across and try to grab a insulin bean bag and run it back to their hula hoop and match it or pair it with one of the glucose bean bags. And while they're doing this, the taggers are obviously trying to tag them. If a player gets tagged, they have to come into this hoop, which is the pancreas, and they are there, out, until their teammate can get across and successfully unfreeze them by giving them a high five. So this game can have multiple rounds with different players being the taggers, and we would play until one of the groups is successfully able to get 5 of the insulin over into their hoop to be paired off with the 5 glucose. So that is Energy Tag. After we played that game, we'd go back and have some more discussion about what it looks like when someone has high blood sugar level and a low blood sugar level, and what that means, what's happening when they're high or they're low. So the next game is called High, Low, Just Right. And in this game, I would divide the students up into 4 teams, and each team has a hula hoop in the corner of the room, and they are lined up behind the hula hoop. That blue rectangle in the center is a large Rubbermaid container, and it has a cover on it, and there are 4 holes that have been cut into the cover. And the reason for that is there are both yellow and green bean bags, glucose and insulin, inside that container, but I want the students to pull out a bean bag without knowing what it is. So the holes are just big enough to reach a hand in there and pull out a bean bag. So the game lasts 2 minutes. We play different rounds, and when I say go, the first person in line will run out to the container and grab a bean bag, and they will run it back and place it in their hoop. And once they place it in their hoop, the next person runs out, they grab a bean bag, they run back. And so the teammates continue to do this for 2 minutes until I say freeze. Once that is done, the teams will look at the bean bags in their hoops, and they will try to make pairs. So they need a green insulin and they need a yellow glucose bean bag to make a pair. And what they will do is see how many pairs they made, and then they will look and see if there are any extra bean bags. So once the kids have had a chance to look at their bean bags and figure out what they have for pairs and what they have for extras, they'll have to report back to me. And they are either going to report that they are high, meaning that they have more of the yellow bean bags, which would be the glucose, because when blood sugar is high, there's too much glucose, or low. If they're low, that means they have more yellow bean bags, which means more insulin, and so they have a low blood sugar level. And just right would be the third option, meaning that they had an equal number of yellow and green. So that game is high, low, just right. So those are two activities that I would use to get students, whether they be my peers in this class or my elementary students, to move around while learning about a very important topic. Thank you.